What are some of the top skills for language professionals to learn in 2025? Coming up. Hello and welcome back to the Freelanceverse. Happy New Year, thanks for coming back to the channel. Hope you all had an amazing holiday and feel recovered, relaxed. I definitely do. I'm ready for the new year to bring you guys new content. I got a lot of feedback on the last video, and the main feedback I got was, please continue, give us the same content, maybe focus on shorter content, more practical tips, how we can actually establish ourselves in the new year. And that's exactly what January is about. I want to structure January as really the kickoff month. I want to give you a couple of videos that you can use immediately to make an impact in your new years if you want to expand your businesses or start your businesses. These January videos should be for you. And the first video that I bring to you guys is the top 10 skills that I think you need as a freelancer, as a freelance language professional, let's say in 2025. Now I came up with this list. First I wanted to do top 5 skills, but then I realized it's really hard to mingle hard skills and soft skills. So in the end I went for 5 hard skills, 5 soft skills that I want to work on myself in this year, right? And I think if I want to work on it as a language professional, I can share these tips and title it as actually top 10 skills, because these are really the ones I identified for myself in my reflection period in December. I'm going to put them here on screen for you guys so you can already take a look. If you just want to hop on the video, take a look at the top 10 skills and hop off again, feel free to do so. Everyone has their own rhythm, not everyone has time to watch the video. These are the ones I'm going to go into it. So I'm going to start with the hard skills because they are usually the ones that are more practical and easier to work on because it's learning, right? The soft skills are more, you almost have to change a bit like your personality type and stuff. So they're very hard to acquire and you need to build new routines. Number one, very obvious one, language and cultural knowledge. Now I'm saying it's an obvious one, but it's still so underappreciated and underdone by many of my colleagues, right? It hurts to see sometimes the lack of skills in that department of people that call themselves language professionals, translators. But I mean, I get it, it's very easy to call yourself that. And that's really the number one skill that we experienced and people that want to take this profession seriously can distinguish ourselves from the competition. So don't underestimate that. It's really the number one skill. And I often hear the argument, first time clients, they go for the cheap labors. But that might be true. But first of all, you don't want these clients that go for the cheap labor. And second of all, I've had it so many times that clients were burnt by cheap laborers, cheap translators, and then come to a person that takes it more seriously and they realize what they actually pay for and what they get for it. Especially when it comes to the creative writing, the transcreation skills, brands really need copy that influences people, that has an impact, that grabs attention, right? And that's very hard to do, especially to keep the emotional and persuasive power that the source language often creates. And if you work with English, you know that English has such a motivational speaking vibe sometimes, right? It's very easy to create a very flowery context, flowery copy in English, and then it's not that easy to transfer that into Finnish, Danish, Swedish, whatever, right? Because they are more toned back cold languages, much less words in these languages than in English. I think English has over 1 million words, right? So they have a lot to choose from, whereas in other languages you have to pick differently, right? And that level of knowledge, of course, requires near native knowledge of language, right? Of course, your source language doesn't have to be native, but it should be up there, right? Especially with your languages and your cultural knowledge, it's your number one tool, your number one working skill. Never settle, always work on it continuously. Hopefully it gives you pleasure because you chose this profession. So it's not that hard to work on these skills, but definitely keep in mind number one skill. Moving on, the research and domain expertise. Another way to distinguish yourself, to become the expert in a specific field. Specialization is always, I don't think it's a skill, specialization per se, but domain expertise, so the knowledge about your specialization is a very important skill. When you think you're specialized, go even deeper, right? If you're a medical expert, why not go into I don't know, radiology. If you're a legal translator, why not go into litigation documents? Go down, because it's much easier to become the best in something when there is not much competition. As a legal translator, you have so much competition. As litigation documents translator, maybe less. The more niche you go, the more expert you become, and that's a very important skill. It's very much linked to research expertise. I would say that's probably the skill I learned or I improved the most during my university degree. As a translator, you don't really need to know things, you just need to know where to look things up, right? And that has become so handy in my profession. I'm extremely good in if I can say so myself, in finding things. So I'm continuously surprised how other translators that should be on the same level in research skills don't find things, right? The very basic things. When I proofread someone's translation, I often think like, you should have found this, you should have looked this up. I recently did a test translation for someone, paid, by the way, always paid. And I just found the translation, right? And then you're in a kind of a weird spot, because like, do you tell the client? Like, first of all, yes, always tell the client, because you can not only say, okay, look, I found this translation, I can deliver you an improved translation on the official one, but it also shows that you have very good research skills and communication skills, which comes later because you immediately inform the client. So definitely work on that. Skill 3 I called Localization Engineering. What I mean by that is preparing, adapting, and finalizing files that you work on, right? Translators often increasingly work on very technical things, software strings, games, apps, websites, whatever. And knowing these different file types and how to handle these, how to prepare them properly for localization, is a very important skill that you can improve to then offer the complete package as a language professional. So you should know all the different CAT tools. You should know basic programming skills. You should know what a QA is, a quality assurance, how to do that. What else? You should know how to work with truncated text, overlapping elements. If there is a broken tag or a broken encoding files, you should know how to handle that. I put it under localization engineering because it's very technical and it's very easy to learn, because you can literally just follow a course or follow an online course or YouTube videos even. It has given me the necessary language to talk to my clients. It establishes you as the expert when you can use these terms, right? And of course you can offer the complete package if you know how to handle a JSON file, for example. Hard skill number 4, workflow automation, right? A lot of these videos will just tell you number 1 skill in 2025 is AI. For me, that doesn't mean anything, right? What does that mean? Your skill is AI that you need to learn. For me, that is kind of pointless, because AI has such an overarching impact on everyone's profession that you need to figure out what actually the automation aspect is that can help you, right? You don't want to just study AI for the sake of it and just learn the technical. I mean, you can learn the technical concepts behind it. What is way more important is finding use cases that apply to your situation, right? If you do something in your workflow, let's say you do something every day for like 5 times, repeating the same action, that needs to be automated, right? You can save a lot of time. There is no need to do something 5 times every day for the rest of your life if you can automate it. So I have found in the last year especially a lot of things that I automated in my translation workflow, but also in my project management workflow, with my reaching out to clients, asking for feedback, planning my idle time, even planning my free time as well. YouTube videos, a lot is automated now in terms of more structural, like organizational, rather than actual production and creation. I just prefer to add this human touch to my actual work, right? But within like my business mindset, there is a lot of automation going on. So think to yourself, what can I automate? And if you find something, it's most likely that there is already a tool for it, right? And last hard skill, digital marketing. It doesn't go without it, right? Especially in the future, I think marketing departments will become very much reduced. They will become much smaller, simply because of the automation workflows that I just mentioned. So you need to figure out, how can you stand out? What is your edge that you can bring to the table? How can you make people realize that you are there, right? This is what I'm doing with this YouTube channel. This is my digital marketing hard skill. And these things, they're easy to learn by repetition, right? A couple of years ago, I didn't know about idea creation, shooting videos, editing, publishing, creating thumbnails, distribution of videos, social media marketing. I didn't know this. I learned this all by myself over the last 4 years. And now these are actual individual skills. All the things that I mentioned now are hard skills that I learned and that bring me now further into in many different areas of my life, right? Not only professionally, but also personally. So these creative business skills, creative marketing skills are often lacking in language professionals. I get it. We're creative people. We want to just work on our craft, right? So it's not really on our mind to market yourself. But without this aspect, the craft will not come in, right? They are interdependent. And luckily, I really enjoy this part. So for me, this is now, part of my workflow, and they are kind of a symbiotic relationship. If I do this marketing, then this goes up, and they build each other up, and it's a great way for me. And it's also a great way for me to improve my creativity, which leads me to the soft skills. Number 1 soft skills: creativity. It is essential for creative writing tasks like transcreation, like writing idioms, preparing or adapting idiomatic expressions, cultural sensitive expression. We are often tasked with translating or kind of transcreating humor and metaphors, concepts that resonate with the target audience or that don't resonate. That should absolutely be forbidden. That's also part of creative thinking, right? This is how we can stand out. Like the general texts that are en masse online, that will be just always fed into the algorithms of machine translation, the standardized text. These are not the things we can excel. These are not the things we can compete, let's say, because they would just be automated, right? So where you can excel is in creative, in very premium, high quality texts that are consumer facing, that go on smartphones, that go on laptops, that go on big, billboards even outside, or beautifully glossy brochures. That's where you can excel, and this is where creative writing is a must. You need to be an author, let's be honest. Like, if you don't regularly write within your profession and outside of your profession, it's not enough. So you need to constantly working on your writing skills. But not only that, also think outside of work, think creative in your everyday life, right? There is always a creative edge that you can outperform the others. Soft skill number 2, communication skills. They are key. This is our tool of working, right? It's not only about communicating in terms of writing good copy as a translation or as a copywriter if you are, but it's also in terms of communicating with the client. It's very important, especially active listening. It's amazing what you can do with proper active listening skills, right? If you remember something that your client told you 5 months ago, and you can bring it up in a conversation again, they will be amazed, because that's not the standard nowadays, right? So I try to have a very clear, structured client management system, where if someone tells me something about this client, it goes directly into my client management system, and I can look up information, data, NDAs, briefs, whatever about this specific client in my system. You can set this up easily for you. You can even use an Excel. You don't need a tool for that, right? Just have it structured somewhere that you can refer back to. And not only written communication, but also verbal communication is key, right? If you think you find the best clients online, I can tell you that's not the case, right? Online communication is great. You can build a big network, but what you can achieve by in-person contacts, in-person communication is just unmatched, right? I see it all the time. I found so many great relationships. Just actually today, the day of filming, I got an email from someone that met me at TEF and said, we need a Swiss German proofreader. Can you please help us out? So I don't think I would have stuck into this person's mind in an online communication, right? So I know it sucks. I know it's very hard for people to go out there and speak in person at events, but it does get easier. Like, don't put pressure on yourself. Like the first 2-3 events, you can just stand in the corner and not talk to anyone. I did the same, but it does get much easier with time when you start to understand that everyone here is just human. Everyone started at zero. No one really knows what they're doing. Just go in there and be honest, even if you're just starting out, just be honest. Hey, hello, how are you? I just started out. I don't really know what I'm doing. What about you? Are you working in this industry? Don't be fake. Don't do this fake business small talk in these events. I really hate it. Just be a real person. Speak about feelings. If you feel like completely anxious at this event, just tell the person. If they are a real human being, they will understand. Otherwise, just move on. Which brings me to another point, which is I called emotional intelligence, or I would also call it empathy. I hear a lot of people like in the business context that don't have this cutthroat mentality. They just say, just be nice and it will be fine. You know, people that are nice in business are actually at a benefit. Nice is kind of, I prefer empathy, because with empathy you actually show that you care about your clients or your coworkers' problems, let's say, right? It's rarely problems, it's just like situations. It's not really real problems in the translation industry, right? No one died. Probably people died from a translation. Actually, I shouldn't say that, but in my specialization, it's fine, right? These are not problems, these are just situations. You can solve them easily. But with empathy, I achieve a lot, especially in my communication as well. I try to be very understanding, forward-thinking, really trying to imagine what the situation is that my client or my colleague is facing and trying to, how can I help that? And if you truly understand the problems or the situations that someone is in, you can create a better target language as well, a better translation for them, because you are aware of the cultural, social influences that impact this client. For that, you need to, of course, like empty yourself of any kind of preconceptions you have, right? You cannot come with a cup that is already full to a conversation. Try to actively listen and try to understand the other person when your biases are already overflowing, right? So before you do that, you need to really try to empty your cups, is what I like to say, and try to take, actually, even if you don't agree with the other person, that is now away from business at all. Even in just a one-to-one conversation, even if you completely disagree with the other person's point of view, if you don't accept their point of view and try to understand, put yourself in their shoes, then there will never be a common understanding and it will just lead to nowhere, right? So that's what I'm trying to do in business as well. I try to study a lot of cross-cultural communication, try to be aware of the other person's situation and understand what they are worried about, so I can help them solve a problem. Which brings me to the last soft skill of 2025 that I want to work on and that I think everyone should work on, which is problem solving. As a freelancer, that's basically all we do, right? I just said there are no problems, so let's say situation solving, let's call it that. That's really all you do. You try to understand what the client's situation is, where they are missing something, where they are, mostly it's time, right? Mostly they don't have time, because a lot of tasks that I'm doing that are not translation related are simply because the person doesn't have time. I'm just talking, or I'm just working now with a local company here. It is translation related, but also not really. It's more consultancy. It's creating a glossary, a translation memory, and they could do it themselves, but they don't have time. So that's when I come in. Of course, I bring in my expertise, but in the end, what I'm solving is the situation that they don't have time to do that. When I do it, it's much faster. If we combine the two, they can go ahead, right? So in problem solving or situation solving, you always have to ask yourself, where is the demand? How can I increase the demand? And what can I do to solve this demand? There you go. These are the top 10 skills of 2025. In general, I want to always mention this on the channel. I'm a strong believer of never settling, always working, sharpening your analytical skills, sharpening your creative skills, work on your communication, both business and private. And I think there is always a way, right? Even if you're completely stuck and you think you're not getting anywhere, there's always a way. Try to find a creative way. Reach out to me if you want to talk it out. You know, sometimes it helps to just speak to someone and we can have a 30-minute, 15-minute chat online. I don't mind, right? Just reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's the easiest way. If you don't have experience, you don't have a specialization yet, we can find another way to, get into the industry, at least get you some experience to get the ball rolling. I wish you a very good year, hopefully with lots of work, lots of clients, lots of fulfillment within your job, whatever you're going for. Thank you for being here. I hope this content will give you the kickstart that you need for 2025, and I see you next Monday. Bye-bye.